Topic: Ethics in Human Actions. Q1 Selectiveness in recruiting subjects for clinical trials leads not only to human rights violations but also to bad science. Discuss the ethical issues involved in clinical trials. 150 words. The Hindu background. The goal of clinical research is to develop generalizable knowledge that improves human health or increases understanding of human biology. Using these sources: Nuremberg Code 1947, Declaration of Helsinki 2000, Belmont Report 1979, CIO Dems 2002, U.S. Common Rule 1991 of Guidance and others. 7 main principles have been described as guiding the conduct of ethical research: social and clinical value, scientific validity, fair subject selection, favorable risk-benefit ratio, independent review, informed consent, respect for potential and enrolled subjects. Clinical trials involving human subjects have long been a flashpoint between bioethicists and clinical research organizations across in India. In the last decade, on account of all clinical trials conducted by various pharmaceutical companies, nearly 2,800 patients are said to have died between 2005 and 2012 in India. Ethical issues involved in clinical trials. Lack of informed consent. In 2009, an international NGO had launched a $3.6 million human papillomavirus HPV trial in India and tested the vaccines on 16,000 tribal girls in Andhra Pradesh and Gujarat, apparently without informed consent from the girls' parents. Principle of utilitarian approach, where more emphasis on maximum good to more number of people at the cost of individual rights is followed. Corruption. Clinical trials in India have been accompanied by large-scale criminality, as doctors, officials and pharmaceutical companies understand that India is a cesspool of corruption where clearances can be had with influence. Lack of adequate representation. There is an over-representation of low-income groups among trial subjects. www.insightsinIndia.com 6 www.insightsays.com. Lack of volunteer honesty. Some volunteers lie about one's medical history or enroll in multiple trials to maximize one's income. Unsafe drugs can make their way into the market. As a result, more safe drugs can get rejected. Lack of transparency. Trials done earlier where the drug has not been found to be effective are sometimes not publicized. Numerous challenges associated with monitoring, such as overlapping responsibilities, communication gaps, and lack of standards are also some concerns. What needs to be done / way forward. Landmark amendments to the Drugs and Cosmetics Act in 2013 led to better protection of vulnerable groups such as illiterate people, but more regulation is needed to ensure truly ethical research. A national registry of trial volunteers which will alert a crowd when someone signs up for 2 studies simultaneously is necessary without violating volunteer privacy. Ethics committees are the front-line regulators for clinical trials. If they were functional, they would be a major factor in preventing unethical trials. Encourage a wider cross-section of society to participate in research on human subjects. Due to incidents like acid attacks on women revealed moral bankruptcy of the Indian society and government. Comment: 150 words. The Hindu background. Despite women being respected since ancient Indian culture, governments taking measures for women empowerment, women abuse and women's safety are a distant dream in India. The statistical data showing India has the highest number of acid attacks in the world, and 300 acid attacks in 2016 highlights a dismal state of affair. These attacks highlight the moral bankruptcy because the victim faces social stigma in the society and is often blamed for the incident and doesn't let an acid survivor live a normal life after the attack. Her social life is cut down as she cannot face people. Patriarchal authority gives boys freedom to do anything and get over with anything. In the old order, women were docile and obedient. In the burgeoning order, women are independent. If they wish to end a relationship, they just do. These are things people accustomed to a sense of male entitlement cannot take. In their worldview, a woman should be grateful for any interest a man shows in her. As per the Avon Global Center for Women and Justice, 35% acid attacks are because of the rejection of a proposal. Especially in rural areas, there is lack of communication among the opposite sex. It is often seen as a male thing to chase a woman. And sadly, that is what Bollywood portrays most of the time. Teasing, stalking a love object is an accepted behavior in Indian society, and jilted love is a major reason for many acid attacks in our country. Men resort to violent attacks as women assert themselves by challenging men's authority and expectations. When a man throws acid on a woman, his intention is to subjugate her and show her who is in charge. Societal preference for son over daughter. Gita Moker's husband poured acid on her for giving him a daughter and not a son. Acid is easily available in any town or village or a city. Supreme Court passed an order regarding acid sale, but governments have not taken enough action. West Bengal has the highest attacks in India, yet the conviction rate is very low, which perpetuates this crime further. What needs to be done? Bangladesh example. The laws not only instituted a complete ban on over-the-counter sale of acid, but also mandated the setting up of tribunals to deal with acid attacks, and the creation of a National Acid Control Council. Bangladesh has made it mandatory that investigations in these cases should be completed within 30 days. Tough penalties need to be imposed on state governments that fail to curb the sale of acid by a certain date. www.insightsinIndia.com 7 www.insightsers.com. Family plays a very important role in balancing the attitudes of children, and the children need to be taught about respecting each other irrespective of the gender. Conclusion. While the Supreme Court's effort